We're here again with Dr. Chris Edwardson, who's been sharing his heart and his love for sharing his faith in the marketplace. And Chris, it's so great to have you here.
Something that I've learned from you this weekend that has kind of reminded me of different things through life. It's been great that I have not had a perfect life, that one was without problem.
Absolutely.
Because after a while, people say, okay, I'd be happy too if I had a collector car and I had a profession, I had whatever.
Yeah.
That looks happy. But,
Yeah.
I've had some problems as well. And I know that God has used those times to be some of the most key times.
Aren't those your growth spurts?
They're growth spurts in terms of my
It would
closest to Him.
grow. Several times.
God, it's always been great to have you, but now I really need you.
Yeah.
And then out of that, people see how you handle that.
Yeah.
And it gives you a time to share your faith with somebody in a similar situation.
It says your light at the same intensity is a lot brighter when you're in that dark spot. They expect you when things are going well to smile. Yeah. But when you have just lost somebody in tragedy, or you just found out you have cancer, or you've just lost your job, or whatever, when that smile comes through then because your joy is in the Lord and not in things around us, that makes us peculiar, and that makes our testimony, our witness more compelling, and people say, wow, there's something different about you. You're not reacting the same as other people.
I can remember I had a man that was working for me as a builder, and his wife left him after many years, and he just didn't see it coming. It's common, of course, but nonetheless it ruins somebody's self-confidence, and he didn't see it in any way.
If they don't handle it right, yes.
And I remember that I shared my faith with him. I actually took him to church, and he said, Chris, it's not for me, not yet. And my biggest reassurance to him is I said, you know what? It's okay. I've been your friend for these 20 years. I will still be your friend to the end of your days. You don't have to make that choice to please me. But I know there's going to come a time when you remember this conversation, and somebody else is going to bring that to fruition. But I just know that he loves me, and I love him. He's a great friend, and he still works for me, and does a lot of work for me. And I know that God is going to touch his heart. Yeah. It isn't always this. Four spiritual laws and you don't have to do it. It's just loving people. It's just being yourself and loving people.
If you share your faith, you have to lead them to the Lord right then. And I used to walk away from the church saying, what did I do wrong? I just can't get it right. I had them so close. I let them get away. It's like, no, it's God's timing. And
it's the Holy Spirit has to bring that person to a point, and their eyes are blinded, and there's a person. There's all kinds of things that are involved.
It takes multiple experiences for somebody to really understand.
And it is
God
a journey,
just like an advertising message. Any product we see, we don't get to see one ad and go buy that product. Most of the time, we don't. I mean, it does happen. Sometimes you find somebody and you leave the Lord on the spot. It does happen, but that's like 1 out of 100, or 1 out of 200. Most times you have to have messages so you finally get awareness and identity, and you start understanding what it's about. And they talk to you, and then they talk to God. Orchestrates, doesn't he?
He does.
He brings another Christian in their life, brings another Christian life. And have you ever had one of these moments where you find out that it did happen on down and you were part of it? It's like a team sport. God just uses Christians as a team to get people to the end result.
It actually happened quite recently.
Really?
It was a year before I was speaking to somebody that had a Buddhist faith. And it was a year later, after I had shared my faith and explained salvation, some of the differences, that I heard that a different individual that was sharing faith with them, they just noticed the common attraction to that life and to that faith. So they made a commitment of faith 1 year later.
1 year
and
later.
That was the first conversation. And interestingly, this person and their spouse, first time they'd ever been to a Christian church.
My gracious. Okay, let me ask a quick question. She is a Buddhist.
Right.
It was a she?
Yes.
Okay. As a Christian, how did you start her on the right path?
People that have already got a faith belief system, typically you don't want to ever attack what they believe. Instead, what you look for...
That's right. I so agree with that.
Instead, what you look for is, what is Jesus to you? Because when people see the genuine, then all of the counterfeit begins to be exposed.
Yeah. Dr. Chris Edwardson, Thank you so much. We're going to do more of this. Okay. All right. And that's all for this segment. Hope you enjoyed it.